All right. Shalom, I'm Dr. Yasafa, and today we're going to take a look at a video that was done on the African Diaspora News Channel. And we're going to look at this topic about being Black, specifically what happened with the HBCU, so the historically Black colleges, of which I'm a graduate of one. Give me 1 second. Of which I am a graduate of a HBCU, okay? And there is news that there were bomb threats on HBCUs. So let's go through an article, but we're gonna look at this in the context of our discussions about being Black and Black being a crime, that the House of Yasharallah is a nationality, okay? And there are 16 nationalities. So this is a further discussion of, or an extension of this discussion we had yesterday dealing with the Black codes, all right? So let's get started. We're gonna demonstrate how this plays out, in our everyday life, okay? All right, so here we are. This is the African Diaspora News Channel, as y'all can see. So please subscribe to their channel if you haven't already. I don't want to freeload off of them by doing this reaction video. Okay, so subscribe to this video, especially if you like what this person is saying. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to start by playing a clip of what she's presenting, and she's presenting her opinion on the bomb threats or the terrorist threats on HBCUs. Okay, so what I'm going to do is give you an alternative point of view from the House of Yasharallah's point of view, okay, or from a Moore's point of view. Okay, so pay close attention so that you can see the different points of view. And I'm not saying that I'm right or she's wrong. It's not a matter of that. I'm going to talk history and nationality, okay? And she's also talking history and nationality. So I just want to give a different point of view, okay? So, ma'am, if you see this video, that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not being critical or anything else. I'm also trying to help our people. So let's go ahead and begin.
Thanks. I'm Dr. J. Darrell-El. I'm a proud contributor to the African Diaspora News Network and Dr. J Holistic Health on YouTube. Make sure that you click like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell. Please subscribe to both channels. Today, I want to talk about something that this is not the first time, it's really the second time that this has occurred, and I haven't heard too many people talking about it. So here I'm, as Dr. J does, I'm going in. There have been bomb threats to several, if not all, HBCUs. And I heard about this a couple of weeks ago. I had a client who actually attends an HBCU, and this is how I found out about it. I didn't find out about it through the national news, but then I don't watch the national news anyway, because all it is, you know, it's spun one way. But I have a great, great concern. That concern is, I want you all to understand something here. You have to be a completely hateful, coward-ass person to want to do bomb threats to highly melanated students who are just trying to get an education. As an educator, it's appalling to me, especially it happened to HBCUs. Because being in California, we don't have them. All of our institutions are Hispanic serving, and we are not getting served at all. the very things that our ancestors, yes, Black History Month, so I'm going. Our ancestors went through hell so that we could have another.
Okay, so let's stop right there. So first, she mentioned that we are Black people. Okay, she mentioned that we are Black
highly
people,
melanated students who are just
and also highly melanated. Okay, so Black people are considered, rather, Black people are possessions, they're objects in the eyes of the law. Black, African American, all of those brands, Hispanic, these are objects in the eyes of the law. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to present as a difference between the House of Yasharallah and the Black people. Okay, now when I was raised, I was taught that I was also Black and African American, but as I began to learn about who I am and history, real history, that's when I began to realize that I have a nationality. Okay, but more important than that, I realized that in the eyes of the law, there are objects, okay, who play roles, who wear a mask and they act, okay, and there's a certain set of rules that apply to them. Okay, these are objects, and then there is humanity, man, Genesis chapter 2. All right, and these, man has natural rights and nobody can take those, whereas the objects, or the 14th Amendment citizen, the Black person, excuse me, only has privileges, which the US corporation or the state corporation can take away. No questions asked, nothing. Okay, so also this term highly melanated, that was really popular, I think, a couple years ago. But again, what matters in the eyes of the law is nationality. Okay, so when you talk about HBCUs, and I mentioned that I graduated from an HBCU, there's a lot of things going into that. So they started in the mid 1800s, right? Historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs. So what was happening in the mid 1800s? Our ancestors, the Moors, right, which would include the House of Yasharallah and all of the other 15 nations that were here on the American continent, specifically in our case in North America, our lands were being taken, taken away from us. Families had been destroyed, parents had been killed, and then the offspring, the seed, had been put into what? Put into schools, as everyone should know by now, and they were re-educated. Okay, they were re-educated. And then these historically Black colleges and universities popped up, right? So now the people are self-identifying as an object, as Black, okay, as an object, as Black, instead of as a House of Yasharallah, or by treaty as Moors, okay, as Moors, all right? So that's the context of this. Now, when I was in college, my undergrad, one of the things that I noticed right away is that there were a lot of professors from other countries. So it wasn't us who were the professors in the HBCUs, right? It was mostly, at my time, it was mostly people from overseas or hybrid troglodyte Europeans, right? Those were the professors. But worse than that, the administration of the college that I graduated from, and this is true with all of the HBCUs, right? When a graduate comes back after graduation and then tries to do business with the university, let's say get a contract providing some type of service, some type of expertise, or supplying something, products or services, whatever, they don't work with you. They won't do business with you. So what good is that HBCU doing really for its people? So now the graduates go off and try to find a job because they're forced to, working for their oppressors. Whereas the HBCUs, who have that huge budget, right? Colleges have huge budgets. If the leaders had the courage and the self-awareness and the self-respect and love for their own people, they would make a way to make sure that their graduates got contracts with the university. And it only makes sense, right? Because now you've got graduates who are graduating and they're entrepreneurs and you're feeding them contracts. So now people are getting rich, right? And there's a higher, you can now recruit more students, and neighborhoods and communities are beginning to improve, right? So all of this can be done with their budget, but they're too cowardly to do it. To this day, they're too cowardly to do it. Just imagine if all of the HBCUs got together and said, okay, we're going to only do business with, or we're going to find a way to make sure that 95% of the businesses we work with are either our graduates or they come from our community. Okay, now that can be done. There's got to be some way under law that can be done, even if it's just not just, but even if it's a power move, like getting donations from a large quantity of people, and then weaning themselves off of government money. But it can be done if there was a desire to do it. So HBCUs are not anywhere near angels, okay? They are as much of the problem as any other Black institution, okay? So let's continue.
Understand something here. You have to be a completely hateful, coward-ass person to want to do bomb threats to highly melanated students who are just trying to get an education.
So let me stop right there. I disagree with that also. You don't have to be a completely hateful person. There's another alternative. There's two, okay? One would be, instead of being hateful, they just want to continue to put you in fear and keep you in the Black frame of mind. This is what was done with the Black codes, if you all remember from yesterday's video. Keep the Black people afraid and in fear. Okay, that's the first, okay? Second, what if it is not some hate group? What if it's not white supremacy? And there's no such thing as white supremacy. I'll discuss that later. What if it's not a hate group? Okay, like the KKK or the Proud Boys or whoever else they're featuring on the news. What if it is, in fact, let's say some corporate, some US corporation entity or agent, right? Or some corporate US agency who's behind this threat to stir the pot, right? To stir the pot of racial hatred, to pit the people against each other, to cause more confusion, more fear during this pandemic time, right? What if it's done so that you will make poor decisions and so that you'll be focused on those people who you think are attacking you, like these so-called white supremacist groups, okay? What if it's all just theater, right? Now, we do know that the corporation does this type of business, these type of activities overseas, but they also do it right here. Okay, right here in North America, they also do it. So don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, right? But just for analysis, don't just think that it's done by some group just because they hate you. It's not about hate. It's about escheating your property, stealing your birthright, your land, your rights, and everything else. That's what it's really about, okay? It's not about hate. Now, will some people really hate you? Of course, right? But in the big picture, it's about making sure you never wake up and you have an emotional attachment to being Black, so that every time they want to pull the string and say something about Black people or do something, you become all emotional and you can't think straight and you make bad decisions, okay? So you are subject to the puppet master, all right? You're under the puppet master's control. So break out of that psychology, let's continue.
Education. As an educator, it's appalling to me, especially it happened to our HBCUs. Because being in California, we don't have any. All of our institutions are Hispanic serving, and we are not getting served at all. The very things that our ancestors, yes, Black History Month, so I'm going. Our ancestors went through hell so that we could have an opportunity. And those opportunities are no longer afforded to us. They're being afforded to everybody else. Everyone else is securing the bag off our ancestors' struggle. And to add insult to that, now we have these idiots out here trying to bomb our institutions. We're not safe at the PWIs, predominantly white institutions.
Okay, so I also disagree with our ancestors doing suffering all of this so that we could have an opportunity. For me, in my mind, that's not true at all. They suffered because the situation they were in demanded it. Okay, that was the situation. We're under the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28 as a punishment for not following the Most High's instructions. So the alternative view to what the doctor is saying is that this is a consequence of our breaking the Most High's laws. And what are the Most High's laws? At their essence, they are do no harm. Okay, the Moorish community would say love, peace, freedom, justice, and there's one more I forgot. But even if you do no harm, you achieve all five of those. Okay, love, truth, freedom, peace, and justice. Yeah. So our ancestors and theirs broke the or stopped following. Okay, definitely, I'm speaking for us. We stopped following the Most High's commands. Okay, we started following after these deities, right? Instead of following the Most High's instructions. Whereas the other nations, they had their own problems. They stopped living by their ancient forefathers' principles. Okay, so that's the problem. Okay, it has nothing to do with hatred. And it has nothing to do with any of these other things. So the point I'm trying to make here is, as a ascendant of the house of Yasharallah, we look at law and we keep the discussion based in law. So when we keep it based in law, that means we're also keeping it in context of natural law. Okay, so that these social engineering events, strategies, and tactics, they don't confuse us. All right. Okay, so let's continue.
And now we're not safe at our own Black institution. And really, honestly, I have to tell you, people.
Now, they're not safe in their own Black institutions. Why? Because the Black people have no rights. As we reviewed yesterday about the Black codes, and the Black codes are still in force. Black people have no rights, and they are not safe anywhere. Okay, now that's according to the Black codes, and the Black codes are still in effect. And who was it that passed the legislation for the Black codes? It was federal and state government, right? Passed and implemented. And then the corporations, the elite, all the way down to the people on the street implemented it, okay? Being Black is a crime, all right? And you can check the, I think it's the Abraham Lincoln case with what's his name? I did a video about it recently. So go back and read that. And you'll see that Abraham Lincoln himself says that being Black is a crime. All right, so let's continue.
People think, I've heard, and I tell my students this, I don't sugarcoat a damn thing. But people keep saying, well, that's in the past, and the old folks, when they die off, all racism will die off. Baloney. Let me make it clear, and let me give you a couple of receipts. Number one is Gen Z is just as racist as the millennials, who are just as racist as Gen X, who are just as racist as boomers, who are just as racist as anything that came before them. Let us not forget that the civil rights movement, which should have been the human rights movement, was just in the 60s. I was on the planet when this was going on. I was born. I was a kid. I was old enough to talk when this was going on. That's not saying that I'm old. It just means I'm seasoned. But check this out. Hatred is not, you're not born with hatred. Hatred is a learned experience. It's taught. It's systemic. Most people don't talk about racism and they don't even know what racism is.
Okay, so let's stop right there. Here's another opinion, an alternative of view. There's a higher self and a lower self. There is no devil that you've learned about in religion. There's no devil. There's higher self behavior, which is acting honorably and being intelligent and learned. And then there's lower self behavior, which is what? Being dishonorable, disrespectful, disagreeable, and often ignorant. Okay. All right. So there's lower self behavior and higher self behavior. Now, with the hybrid troglodyte niggers, the Neanderthal or the hybrid European, they are more inclined toward lower self behavior. Okay, now that's a fact. Check the record. No doubt about that. Not only check the record, but check your own interactions, your own relationships with them, right? You see that right away. They're inclined to lower self behavior, right? So when you come across a Moor or someone in the house of Yasharallah who's behaving at the lower level, who's dishonorable, right? That's because they choose to be dishonorable, right? That's a decision that they make to act in a dishonorable way, all right? Okay, so let's continue.
Racism requires power and privilege. If you have the power to affect my life in such a way that I can't even go to school and get an education on an institution, in an institution that's supposed to be geared towards me, that's a problem. That's called racism.
Okay, so I disagree again with this. I agree with what she said. However, here's where I differ. Here's where natural law comes in. Okay, you have to do things for yourself. As an individual, or as a man, as a woman, as a community, and as a nation, as an empire, you have to come together, work together, put aside petty differences, and do things for yourself, and reject anything that somebody outside of your nation, your empire, offers to do for you. Because why? Because it'll, one, show a weakness, and two, we know that the hybrids are not trying to help us, right? We should know that by now and stop fantasizing and dreaming that they want to help us, because they don't. Okay, that offer for help is only to lull you to sleep, okay, to get you to bite. All right. So if that's not clear to anyone who's at least 30 years old or more by now, well, it should be clear. So let's continue.
And you have, another thing that I'm finding out about HBCUs, I'm not all of them, but just stuff that I hear, because I did not attend an HBCU. I had the opportunity. I did not have the support to leave the state at that time, at that age, to go to Clark, Atlanta. So basically what I want to say is, this is not going anywhere. And I don't want to hear anybody from the divestment tribes talking about this is all because of Donald Trump. You are really delirious if you think Donald Trump is the reason why all this occurred. No, this has been occurring. They've been feeling this. This is not new. The only difference is it wasn't fashionable to show your hatred. All Donald Trump did was spew some nonsense and empower the hatred. Now, I am not pro Donald Trump. I am not pro Republican. I am not pro Democrat. I think they both stink, but that's me. Our students, our children need to be protected. We can't be out here chasing the bag to the point where we don't know what's going on with our kids. Our kids are being bullied. Our younger kids are being bullied in school, and our brightest, our best
Okay, so again, I disagree with that, the black people are out here fully occupied chasing the bag. I think what she means by that is that the black people are out here trying to get money one way or another. I strongly disagree with that. For me, it appears that the black people just don't care about each other. There's no sense of mutual respect for each other, and there is no strong desire to cooperate and do business with each other. So for example, when you go to Asia, where I spent most of my life over the past, I don't know, as far back as I can remember, early 2000s, they will not do business with a foreigner, right? They'll only do business with themselves. And the only way you can do business with them is if you are in a family, okay? You are in a family. Then they may let you in to do some business with you. But even then, probably not, okay? But you've got to have some connection. And that's what the black people are lacking. And that's what the House of Yasharallah is lacking. Because to be quite honest with you, many people in our nation, in the empire, they claim Yasharallah, they claim to be Moors, but they act like black people, okay? The thinking is still black, Negro, African-American. And then why is that? Well, it's because I think that it's because of religion, Christianity, whatever religion that they come from. That's why they haven't changed their thinking, because they're still under the control of the religion, okay? Be it the doctrines or the value system, okay? They haven't shaken that off yet. That's why you should come to Zion Law School, because at Zion Law School, we will help you deprogram from religion, all toxicity of religion, okay? We do the live online class, Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link to the class is in the description box. This is one of the most important things you can do, is deprogram from religion. And the best and probably the only way to deprogram from religion, that's right, to get dehypnotized from religion, is to see that what you learn is false, to see it in the documents. And then that's what we do at Zion Law School. So you're invited. I hope to see you this Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, and our brightest now have to be concerned about going to school and having something happen to them. Sandra Bland I believe she went to Prairie View. She was supposed to start teaching there. Look what happened to her. Listen, jealousy is something else. And if we are only truly technically 12 to 13% of the population, which I don't believe.
Now, she talked about jealousy, right? Now, I can agree that the hybrids are tremendously jealous of us, willing to harm us. You know, it's the insecure, narcissistic type of jealousy, the sociopathic type of jealousy, where somebody wants to do something to you just because they look at you and then they feel insecure and uncomfortable about themselves, so they want to hurt you. That on top of they having possession of our land and knowing that everything that they have really and truly belong to us, because we are the rightful heirs. We are the rightful heirs, okay? So come to class if you want to know more about that Saturday.
Because statistics can be skewed. And because when you say there's this many white people, but you put Latino and Arab and all these other people who clearly are not Caucasian under that umbrella, of course the numbers are going to be bigger. But if we're only 13% of the population and immigrants keep coming in here from other places. So
now let's deal with we're only 13% of the population. She is exactly right, because we were already here. So we outnumbered them by the millions. And this is why they're every day of every generation since they've been here, they've been committing genocide against our people, right? Be it through food, through water, well, food and water, right? Be it through their public policies, they've been committing through medications, right? Medical procedures, so on and so forth. And this is no secret. This is no secret what I'm saying. They've been genociding us, okay? Because our numbers are huge in comparison to them, because we were here for how many tens of thousands of years before they got here, right? So you, my friend, not the doctor, not you, doctor, I'm talking about the audience. So the Black people, almost all of the Moors and almost all of House Yarasha and of House of Yasharala included in that, you are hypnotized. You're believing something that's not true because you watch too much TV and you've been taught that in the school system, and you haven't taken the time to do some research and analysis, your own thinking, to come to realistic conclusions, okay? If you don't believe me, you start checking on it. So I think I'm gonna end this video right now, but I wanna thank the doctor here for doing this video. I thought it was very good, and I just wanted to give a perspective or an alternative point of view so that the audience can see the difference of someone who's identifying themselves as Black as opposed to someone who knows full well that his nationality is the House of Yasharala, and he is a subject of the Moorish Empire, a Moor, okay? And if you go through this video further, you're going to see that the doctor here is somewhat aware of that. Now, maybe she's more aware of it than what she showed in this video. I don't know because I don't know her, but I want to say thank you, doctor, for putting this video together. And I hope I have not offended you. If I did, please contact me and we can discuss it. So I hope everyone in the audience was able to learn something and get a different perspective on this news issue. Shalawama and Islam.